You know that feeling when you have been busy all day but still wonder, wait, what did I actually get done? Yeah, that used to be me all the time. Life gets packed fast when you're working, maybe handling a side hustle, trying to stay healthy, keep up with people, and maybe even get some sleep. It's a lot to do with our limited time in a day. But over the years, I made a few small changes that helped me feel way more on top of things without waking up at 5 a.m. to meditate, take a cold shower, or downloading a bunch of task tracking, time tracking, to-do list apps that requires you to create tasks to manage the tasks in the app. No, just little shifts that made my day feels more focused, less chaotic, and honestly way less stressful. That's really what we all want, right? So in this video, I'm sharing 5 productivity tips that have actually helped me as a busy adult and father of 2. Nothing fancy, nothing overwhelming, just real strategies that fit into real life that works for me. If you have been feeling a little scattered or stretched thin, this might give you a few ideas to get back on track and maybe even enjoy the process a little more. Alright, the first one is to stop time tracking everything and track results instead. A few years ago, I had this spreadsheet in my brain where I tracked everything, and I mean everything. From how long I spent answering emails to how many minutes went into writing a caption for Instagram. It gives me this odd sense of control and makes me feel productive. Like, if I could measure it, I would be the master of productivity. But here's what actually happened. My days were full, but nothing was moving forward. I was exhausted, yet I couldn't tell you what I actually accomplished. So one day I sat down and asked myself an honest question. What did I accomplish from using up my time like this, and did any of the things I did actually matter? That's when I realized I wasn't tracking progress, I was tracking activity, and that's a big difference. So I tried something new. I ditched the time log and started writing down just 2 to 3 things I wanted to accomplish that day. Not tasks, but outcomes and results. Something that would make the day feel like a win and not just fake being productive. This simple change flipped everything for me. I started recognizing which activities moved the needle and which were just noise. And the interesting part is I started getting more done in less time, because when you're focused on results, you stop wasting time on perfecting what's doesn't matter. Like Malcolm Gladwell often reminds us in his stories, it's not about volume, it's about what cuts through, and that makes all the difference. So the next time you start tracking how much time you put into particular tasks, track what needs to be done instead. What I usually do is break them down into smaller achievable steps for the day. If I take too long to finish a task, then I did not break that task down enough. Doing it this way makes me feel like I am one step closer to achieving what I want to achieve every day. The second one is to create more constraints, not more time. I used to wish for longer days. I would fantasize about this version of myself who had 8 uninterrupted hours to work on creative projects. But every time I got a long stretch of time, I somehow managed to stretch the work just as far. It's that sneaky truth behind Parkinson's law. Work expands to fill the time available. And honestly, it really does. For example, I give myself about 4 hours after dinner to work on my side hustles. Yes, 4 hours is quite a lot, and I am a night owl, so I can do it. But what I found was that even though I gave myself 4 hours, I always begin my work officially in the last hour. The rest of the 3 hours, well, you know what happens. Then one day I procrastinated so much till I felt disappointed with myself. So I got a YouTube video up, edited it in less than an hour, uploaded and launched it on YouTube. And that video ended up going viral and performed way better than any of my YouTube videos. That's when I realized the magic of constraints. Less time forced me to make faster decisions, skip over analyzing, and focus like never before. And often the first instinct and decision I come up with is also the best one. It reminded me of how some of the best creative work in history came out of limitation. budget cuts, time crunches, even adversity. Malcolm Gladwell talks about this in his book David and Goliath, how disadvantages can become strengths. That's what's happened here. Constraints gave me clarity. They helped me prioritize what truly mattered and get results. And now I create artificial limits and rewards. I give myself just 1 hour to finish my work, then I get to watch TV or do something I enjoy. Time is much better spent that way, getting what is important out of the way first by giving it a constraint. More time isn't the answer. Better use of time is. The third one is stop learning, start executing the basics. There was a time where I subscribed to every productivity YouTube channel, watched every how to grow on YouTube video, and research more than I care to admit. I felt smart, I felt inspired, but I wasn't doing anything. Stephen Pressfield's The War of Art calls this resistance, that sneaky force that shows up as research, as planning, and as over-preparing. And I was deep in it. Learning became my favorite form of procrastination. Eventually, I realized I didn't need more tips. I needed to take action, and in the world of YouTube, it means creating content, publishing them, and launching them even if it wasn't perfect. As soon as I started learning faster through experience, through wins and losses. Uploading a messy video taught me more than 10 hours of tutorials. The same goes for my newsletter. The first newsletter took 1 hour to craft, then I cut those time down and down and down up till the point where it was just my authentic voice. And all this is led by actual feedback, something no course could replicate. We often underestimate how much we already know. The 20% of knowledge we do have, that's usually enough to start. And once you start, real-world feedback will teach you the rest. Theory is just theory, but execution reveals gaps that theory hides. So if you're feeling stuck and wondering why you're not progressing, maybe it's time to stop absorbing and start applying. The fourth one is do less. Way less. I once had a to-do list that looked like a buffet menu. Everything sounded good and I wanted to do it all. So I tried a blog, a YouTube channel, a side business, a service offer, you name it. My days were crammed with tasks, but none of them got the best result. Everything was halfway done and nothing felt satisfying. That's when I discovered the idea of strategic abandonment. I started asking myself, what would happen if I dropped this? And more importantly, what would thrive if I did? Cutting things felt uncomfortable at first. It felt like quitting, but it wasn't. It was actually refining, refocusing, resharpening in disguise. I let go of projects that no longer aligned, said no to sponsorships that don't have clear alignment with my direction. It felt like decluttering my calendar. And just like that, my energy returned and the projects I kept got more attention and a chance to flourish. Malcolm Gladwell, again, talks about the power of focus in outliers. He reminds us that excellence often comes from narrowing your bandwidth. When you say no to the good, you make space for the great. That's what strategic abandonment is, saying no so you can say a full yes to the right things that deserves your attention. The fifth one is work when everyone says you shouldn't. This is going to be a little hard to hear. I used to wait for perfect conditions to work. Quiet house, clean desk, long uninterrupted hours, and if that didn't happen, I would push the work for tomorrow. But tomorrow was just as chaotic, especially if you're a parent. Then one day, while commuting to and from work, I opened my phone, jotted down a few script ideas, and later that week, I ended up with 10 different content ideas. That's about 2.5 months worth of content for me. That one H moment, those 15 unplanned minutes, they added up. I started seeing the day not as blocks of work time and non-work time, but as micro moments. Now I work in pockets, coming up with my potential ideas during my runs, quick title and thumbnail edits before dinner. I don't wait for ideal conditions. I work with what I've got and the time I have because of my busy, unpredictable schedule. It is scrappy, but it works. And honestly, it's freeing. When you stop chasing perfection, you find possibility in places you used to overlook. The pressure lifts, the work becomes playful. We ended up adapting to any situation, and that's the key. Adaptability over perfection, movements over ideal. So if your days are messy, unpredictable, and full, that's okay. You don't need ideal conditions. You just need to start, adapt, and change, and be flexible. The beginning is difficult when you're trying to find your groove, but from my personal experience, I learned that anyone, and I do mean anyone, is able to start as long as they force themselves to focus and do the work for the first 2 minutes. After that, momentum takes over and you'll be surprised how far you can go. Honestly, productivity doesn't have to be complicated. Most of the time, it's just about letting go of the stuff that doesn't matter and doubling down on what does. Track results, not hours. Give yourself tighter deadlines. Start doing, not just learning. Quit the things that drain you and work with the time you have and make your tasks as frictionless as possible. If you have side hustles, be sure to check out this video about how this YouTuber kept things simple and still able to make over $180,000 with only 300 views per video on average. It is mind-blowing. Alright, that's all for me in this video. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.